Okay, so welcome. This is going to be the full Klaviyo email marketing course of 2025. Everything you're going to need to start dominating Klaviyo email marketing right now. You can leave the 2024 strategies behind, focus on everything you need for this year. Now, if you have any questions throughout the length of this video, add a comment below. If you want any additions, add a comment below. If there's something you just want to know, add a comment below. Enjoy. Okay, so in this video, I'm going to go through a step-by-step email sign-up form training for you if you have an online store and you want to use Klaviyo to start collecting emails. So, purpose of a sign-up form, 3 main areas, okay? Capturing site visitors onto your email list so that you can market to them over an owned media channel. You can increase the likelihood of getting customers to buy again without relying on paid acquisition all the time, which is beautiful. And you can start to capture relevant customer data to improve all areas of your business. So that could be like interest levels, what kind of discounts people like, what kind of offers people like, what kind of free resources people are interested in, what kind of messaging makes sense. All those things are really, really important. Now, when to create a sign-up form? Simple answer, immediately. Create an online store, create a sign-up form. Just because you might not be like running campaigns straight away to your entire audience, you can still start to capture useful data, and you can leverage automations like your welcome flow, your browser abandonment, your site abandonment, etc., to create some automated sales from there. Now, what makes a good sign-up form? 3 things: really strong incentive. So I'm going to give you my email address. What are you going to give to me? Is it a discount? Is it some kind of free gift? Is it a resource that might help, improve my life? Like, what is the reason? I'm not just going to give you my email because you're going to send me emails. Like, I don't care. Okay, so it needs to be really strong incentive. It needs to be pattern disrupting. Okay, people have come to your site for a particular reason. People don't come to your site to sign up for your email unless it's me and I want to see how bad your emails are. So you need to put something that like stops them in their tracks and at least considers you for a brief moment of, should I give this brand my email? And then very clear next steps. Okay, so people don't want to be thinking too hard about what it is that they're doing. All right, they don't need to be messing around and thinking like, oh, what step do I need to take? What button do I press here? If I press this, where's it going to take me? Like, make it really, really simple. Okay, you've got a very, very small amount of time to make this work. So let's get like straight into doing it. So let me jump into the form library on Klaviyo. So you're in Klaviyo, click sign up forms, and it gives you millions of different options. Okay, so I'm going to just go through a couple today to kind of give you some ideas of what's working now in 2025. And what we're using to kind of save you like going through 1,000, it's not that many, but a lot of different sign-up forms. Things to be interested in here is the form style. You can pick a different one here. Like, do I want it to be a pop-up that shows up? Do I want it to be a full page? It takes up the entire page. Do I want it to fly out? Do I want a banner, across, on the top here? Or do I want an embed, which I'll do a separate video for embeds. We're just going to look at some full pages because these are my favorite ones right now. Get rid of banner. We're going to do a multi-step just to jump things in one and go from there. So in fact, let's jump out. We'll just do a single step first, and then I'll show you how you can kind of add different ones from here. Now, when you click on template type, you can choose what you want to collect. Like, do I want just emails? Do I want phone numbers? Do I want just phone numbers? Let's say we want email and phone number. It's going to take us just to those 2 from there. So we'll just do email for now to give us some more options. And then you can choose like seasons and holidays if you wish. Now, I wouldn't suggest you necessarily have to do that, okay? But you can choose a number of different options on here. Now, if we jump into a first order discount on this one, I'm just going to leave it as the name it is, but you can call it whatever you want. On the email list, I'm going to take it to our newsletter because that's the default list that we would collect on here. And then I'm just going to click create form. And then it's going to load. Hopefully not take ages. Amazing. So now that we have the main area, it starts to look a little bit confusing. Now, the reason I kind of like these sign-up forms here is you have your teaser, which I'll go through. You have a little micro commit that's like, hey, you've got 10% off your first order. Claim my code. It's like, oh, okay, cool, boom. Then it goes into like, here's your email and claim my code. And then here's a success part here, like here's where your coupon is. I'm going to go through each individual one and why these look great. Now, this is just a mobile specific one here, but you can make some changes to what these look like in, I think it's targeting and behavior. There you go. So you can click like both desktop and mobile, and then you can start to have a look on both and see what it looks like. Now, that doesn't look beautiful. My advice is let's focus on just one for each one, because then you can make changes what it looks on mobile and what it looks like on desktop. So in this one here, we're just going to show you straight away what a mobile only one looks like. So I'll just get out of here real quick. When we go back to the teaser, something we want to be really mindful of here is like, where do we want it to be on our phone screen? Because you might have a little chatbot here, you might have some burger buttons up on here. You know, we don't want this to like take up too much of the space. So we can pick a circle here, we can pick a little corner one, we can stick with the banner. You know, I quite like the rectangle one, and let's say we want it to be at the top. Okay, things we want to consider here of changing is, when do we want the teaser to show? We can have it after the form is closed, we can show it before the form is closed, or we can do it before displaying the form and after. Now, what I would say is two options that make sense is having it before and after, or having it just after the form is closed. Now, the reason I say this is because if you come on the site and you click like, oh, there's a cookies thing, and you click it off, sometimes the pop-up doesn't show up because you haven't got it set up properly, or sometimes just Klaviyo is having a moment, and then you've lost that opportunity to sign somebody up. So we still kind of like want that little barrier that's shown in there. Now, a couple of things here, obviously the coloring isn't great on this, so we'd want to consider like changing. We can change the background color here, just down at the bottom. We could like go right to like a really crazy black, or you can choose some brand colors from your website, like if probably not red, you know, or white from here looks pretty poor. So let's just say, for the sake of like standing out and being wild, we're just gonna have like a black one here, and then we can change the color of text on here. So we highlight it, and then there's a text color. Here we go. We can just change it to white, which I think is at zeros. No. There you go, Fs. You put your Fs across, and then you've got like, get 10% off your first order. So this is like, immediately I'm like, this is probably work well for a fashion brand because it's really bold. Obviously you can change the text to be a little bit more aligned with your brand. You know, like if George is a little bit fancier, or if you want to like use another one. Now, I wouldn't suggest adding fonts, to be honest, if you're going to be using Klaviyo, just because sometimes they can look gross. So I would try as much as possible to use something that we have here, and then make it work for ourselves from here. So that's the teaser. The micro commit here, which is awesome. What I love about this is like, it shows up on the whole page on here. You've got that cross there. Would probably get rid of that, to be honest. I don't really like the look of it on there. But when you go through a number of areas here, you've got a cool image, which you can either keep or get rid of. You've got the name of the brand. You've got what it is here, and then you've got the stuff from here. When I say like make it clear, I would get rid of that block because it's gross. Like, we don't need to know who you are. We know who you are because you've landed on your website, okay? Now, and then we've got this block here. What we can do to kind of play around with things is we could kind of like just drop a little thing here and go from there. Or when we go to blocks, there's usually a spacer of some sort, I think. If not, can't see it. So sometimes you can't see the spacer. I wonder if they've moved that. Okay, so we can't see that because where the image is. So I would just come onto here and then, you know, drop that down to create a little bit of space between those. Go from there. Now, you've got a couple of options here. This is a micro commit, so nobody knows what they're signing up for now. You could just put like, you know, you've got a mystery discount, and make sure you can spell, unlike myself. It could be like, you've got a mystery discount, okay, with some like boom, and then you can keep this if you want. Like, it's all right. Maybe I'll just get rid of it. And then change the claim my code, and it could be, you know, claim it, or, you know, grab discount. I always like to have this bit in all caps. And what I don't like right now, just looking at it, is I don't like the text there. So let's like look at what Georgia looks like. That's better. Have the discount, you know, on here, and then you can have the decline offer, but like it kind of sounds a bit poor. I'd just be like, you know, no thanks, or something like that. Now, the reason these buttons stand out more is because what we want people to click that without giving too much thought. So this is what I talk about making it easy. It's like somebody can just click the button and go, boom, I'm going to grab my discount, and they'll go. It submits the form and then shows the next step, which is the email opt-in from here. So that's the stuff from there. Now, you want to change the image, just click on it, replace it with something you've got. You want to remove it, you know, it's going to remove that there and kind of give you like a bit more of a clear one. I personally like pop-ups without too much imagery. By all means, test them and see what works. But like, I just want somebody to know, like, hey, you've got a mystery discount, grab it, or no thanks. And then I do hate this. I wonder if we can get rid of this. You can get rid of this somewhere in targeting. We'll go through this while we're here. So the targeting and behavior stuff in the display, you've got a couple of options of when you want a sign up form to show. Do you want it to show up immediately? I would say no in 99% of cases. I would often choose to be based on a number of rules. I'd have it when somebody is exiting the page, so when it detects that somebody might be leaving, and I'd have after a time delay of probably 8+ seconds, because you want somebody to be on the site and to actually start having a look, or if they've scrolled a certain amount. So if they go on and they start scrolling down quickly, it's like, hey, let's show this from here. And if you want to have it after they've seen a certain number of pages, I wouldn't personally do that. I've not seen any success for that. And I wouldn't have only display if all these conditions are met, because this might not all happen until somebody's about to exit, and it might not always pick up. So these are the kind of options I would go with. But in terms of testing, absolutely test the time delay a lot, just to see when is the key moment that people actually sign up, rather than just getting rid of the form. As we scroll down, a couple of options here. After the visitor closes the form, do we want to show this again? Sure, a few days later, why not, in case they do come back. And then obviously don't show again if the form was submitted or the go to URL button was clicked, so keep that on. Now, we're doing this as a mobile only one, because we want to make it a little bit easier. In terms of targeting, what we don't want to do here is show to existing Klaviyo profiles, unless we're doing a sign up form to capture data, at which point we can then show to all visitors or show to email subscribers only. So if we want to do a data collection of hey, did you see our new launch, or what are you most interested in seeing right now, or which of these offers would you like to see, that's when I would change that. But until then, I would just keep that as not showing to existing profiles. And then you can have it only show on certain URLs or don't show on certain URLs. This is useful for if you're driving people to a product page from an advert. Do we want to disrupt them at that point when they're locked in and they're going straight through their point of potentially buying? So we want to be really mindful, do we want them on there? If not, then we want to put anything to do with whatever that product name is, or we want to have the exact website page from there. We'll leave that empty for now. And then you can even have, this is quite good for brands based in certain parts of the world. So if you're a US brand, you might only want to show to people that are in North America, for example, or Afghanistan, wherever. If you're not wanting to show to people in Europe, for example, because if you're not selling to those people, then you might not want to collect them on your email list. So, and then you can put it here I don't want to show to people in Africa, Asia, Europe, EU, and South America, and Oceania. I don't want these people seeing this form. And then what that means is if I signed up or visited your site from the UK, I'm not going to see this. You're not going to give me an option to sign up, which makes sense. So definitely something to consider on these things from here. While we're in here, let's just jump back in and see if there's anything useful. In terms of styles, we're obviously picking a full page one, and we can change that as we are. We can change the content width. I'm not going to play around with these right now. You can change the background color. So I'm just going to copy that because we like it. You can change it to an outrageous black if you really wanted. I'm just going to leave this in here for now. Then you can have a background image on there if you wanted one. You can have a bit of drop shadowing on there. You don't see it because it's a full page across. And then you can play around with stuff. To be honest, I wouldn't play around with much of this because it doesn't, from experience, it doesn't really make that much of a difference. And Klaviyo have done a good job at kind of giving us the things that we need. So I wouldn't play around too much with these things. You can scroll down and have a play around if you want to, change the input field styles, that kind of stuff if you want. But personally, I wouldn't do that. Is there anything else that we missed? Don't think so. Display. Just want to make sure we don't miss anything, so bear with me. Here we go. So we can have this click outside of form to close. Now, obviously, when it's a full page like this, people can't click out. But what I would suggest is like turning it off most of the time, because when I talked about like the cookies thing popping up, because you clicked outside, it may then get rid of that form and you've lost an opportunity from it. So we would, more often than not, we would like get rid of that option from there. And then obviously you can make some changes to like, I don't know if this will move for us here. Will it move? No. We could move this up there if you wanted. Will it let us? Like, I don't know why you would want to, but you can kind of move things around from there and do this off there. Again, I wouldn't make too much of a song and dance around changing that. Number of things to be testing on here are the messaging. So it's, would you like a mystery discount, or you've qualified for a discount, or grab a limited time discount, or here's a free resource, or whatever it is. People click it here. What we found these micro commits here, especially now in 2025, is people are like, they're more intrigued, but when like people see this more often than not, so they're like, oh, it's just another sign up form. Whereas if we're kind of disrupting their day with a bit of a different pattern disruptor, like, hey, you've got a mystery discount, they're like, oh, cool, and they click it, cool, they go straight through. Next page is the kind of main part, the email opt-in. Now, I would get rid of a number of different things here, because I don't think having, the name of the brand is a good use of space. Like, we know who you are, we know, why we're here. So we can play around with the image from here, replace it, get rid of it, do whatever we want. We can just get rid of it and see what it looks like and go, okay, cool. And then it's like, you've got whatever discount, you've got 15% off your first order, and then from here it could be, get my discount, or, save today, make sure you can spell properly, or save 15%, whatever. Like it needs to be something. And again, play around with, the text or whatever you want. Like, Georgia's looking nice. We didn't like Times New Roman, so we can jump in here and, go to Georgia again. We can start to play around with these things. But on this form, like, we wanted to make it really easy. It's like, hey, you've got 15% of your first order, save 15%. You can add a little text here, like add your email if you wish, but like, personally, I wouldn't. I'm trying to understand why that doesn't move. There'll be a way to do it. Once that's done and you're happy with that, always go to this last bit. People tend to like forget about this bit. I'm not sure why. Again, get rid of this thing if you want. Thanks, confirm your email and SMS. Now this is only email, so you could just be like, thanks. And just have like, boom, it's done. And then I am a big fan for having the coupon in here, because we're not having to send people to email. Now there's a lot of noise in the space around, let's get them onto email to train them to, like, people know how to receive emails, okay? They don't need to be trained. They know what's happening. But what we don't want to do is stop people from buying and coming to the site and making that purchase. So you've got your coupon on here. You can have a static coupon. You can integrate this with your Shopify store to create a unique coupon if you want. That's not always a terrible idea. Your choice. Static ones are good because they look cool, so you can call it like, save 15, and people are like, oh, there's my code, or 15 off, like whatever it is you want to create as your code, and then people can copy it. Now the thing here is like, go to inbox. Personally, I wouldn't do that. I would go to the website and it would be like, browse store or something, or get whatever it is you want to do, right? And we want people to click on that and go here, and then it takes them back, back to the website, looking at the store. You can go to a very specific URL if you want. So it could be, like gymshark.com/new in or discounts, whatever it is, like you want to drive people to. That's the things you want to be considering from here. So like, I could go really in depth about like millions of different ways to do this. In terms of testing, here's the things you want to be looking at testing. Your incentive is probably the most important one, because that's the thing people are going to be reading first. Okay, so it's like, well, what is this? You've got a mystery discount, or do you want a discount on your first offer, or do you want to save on your first order? Whatever the message is, okay? So test this like religiously. Make sure you find the messages working, and you want to be getting yourself up to like 10% plus of email signups Anything below that is like it's not working the way that you want it to. Test the messaging on the button here, and then test the messaging on here. Literally in that order. People will tell you to like, oh, change the gradient on here, and it'll, by all means change some colorings, and you might see some incremental, some incremental changes. But ultimately, like focus on this, and then this, and then same for email opt-in form. Focus on changing the message here and doing some split tests on here. I'm going to run through a quick just how to set up a split test, and then change the messaging on here. These things here, like, oh, you could change what it says. By all means do so, but it isn't, again, going to make that much of a difference. We're trying to be efficient here and make the most of our time. And then in terms of the success message, if you want to like see if people want to go to their inbox, again, by all means do that. But again, like, what are we trying to do with the customer here? We want them to give us our email address, and we want them to go and buy. So from our experience, give them the coupon, get them to buy from there. Straightforward. In terms of create a test, it's quite straightforward. You can click create test. And then what we just have here is like, we'll have a control, which is our main one, whatever's winning. And then we just call whatever this is. So say if it's like, I don't know, new hook, which is the main message. We'd click create test. Let it do its thing. And then we've got an option to test a number of different areas on the things here. So we go on to the micro commit and say if this is the one we want to test. We can pick the new hook, go to the micro commit, and we can be like, do you want a mystery discount ? That's the test, right? So say if that's what we wanted to test, right? We would then just go continue to test settings. Again, you can test a number of different things. Continue to test settings on here. It's then going to show up. You can add a little note on here if you want. You can automatically end the test when it's significant. Personally, it wouldn't bother. You can keep it on there, just get rid of it. We like to do it like, if there's enough traffic, we like to do it on a weekly basis. So we just publish the A/B test. This might not work because we're not on the site. We just click publish, and then go from there. And once that's live, that then starts to run, and then you can come back and you can start to kind of view the actual tests themselves as they are, and that's it. So let me just go get rid of that because we don't want to do it. I want to go back to the form. So that was a number of different things to kind of consider. The full page micro commit option, big win right now in 2025. Email opt-in area, core message, get rid of as many things. So this is obviously I don't know how to do this, and I don't want to waste your time on the call and figuring it out. It'll be an easy fix. And then, a straightforward thing from here. Just make it look nice. Like, does this need a bit of extra space? Yeah, that looks better. Does it need a bit of extra space below? Yeah, that looks cool. If I haven't already said this, like, make sure to test on a number of different devices to make sure that everything looks the way that you want it to look and runs the way that you want it to run. And that's it. So if I jump back out real quick, I go through just a number of different sign-up form ideas, and you can play around with a number of different sign-up forms if you wish. Go to create form again. You've got spin to win. I don't personally love these. I think it attracts low quality subscribers, and you start to grow a list, but not in a sustainable way. By all means, try them. Good for discount brands that sell loads of products, impulse buy brands. Good for those kind of things. But overall, if you're a solid brand that sells a great product, personally, I think these are a bit shit, so I wouldn't do them. Stick with full pages as much as possible for now, at least in 2025, until things may change. You can play around and have a free shipping banner if you want. You can try different, looks on here if you want to go and do like a pop-up on here. Click your name, go to newsletter, create the form, and then you can change something from here. So this is a similar sort of one where it's just straight through. Shop the look, refresh your wardrobe, explore the style. Now this is quite good for like targeting people that are landing on the site and you want to send them to a specific page. So in terms of targeting, you can put like, let's show to all visitors, and then anybody who comes on site is like, hey, let's explore. And this button here, you could literally take them to like your sale page, right? So obviously this looks a bit pants. You can make some changes, see our offers, oops, or something like that if you want. And then it could be, you know, take a look at our on sale items or something like that. Does that look right? Take a look at our on sale items and then click a button from there. These are all good and everything, but personally, like I don't really use them for any of the brands we work with. Our main one that we focus on is getting the people onto the email and going from there. So, which is this one from here. Jump back in real quick, make sure there's anything of use. Is there anything else that we can do? There was a data one somewhere that I wanted to look at. I might have missed it. This one. So I'm just going to jump in real quick and show this one, which I like this one quite a lot. So this is quite cool for getting some zero-party data at the beginning. So you've obviously got the quiz, which is like, unravel your mystery discount, what's your favorite smoothie fruit? Now, this is good for, obviously, if you're selling smoothies. If you're a healthcare brand and you want to know like why people are on your site, you could be like, you know, what's your main health focus? You know, change that. And then you can pick these number of different areas and, you know, change them to whatever you want to change them to. But just to kind of give you an idea, what you can do here is click like mango. You can change it to like, I don't know, sleep. And it could be sleep. You can change the profile property. No, we don't want that one. You can change the profile property to interests. Create interests. And then call it sleep. And then create sleep. And then what that'll do from there is you submit the form, go to the next step. That will then create a profile property of that person, and then you can segment them. And then the next one, you know, click on submit form, show next step, and then obviously you want interests, and then you could put weight loss, whatever. Yeah, obviously you want to change that to weight loss, you know, whatever you want to do from there. And you get the idea as you go through. Like you're able to kind of create that, and then you're able to, based on the profile properties, you can completely change the direction of their welcome journey, which is cool. Or you can just start to gather like of 1,000 people that sign up, 80% are interested in sleep. That then tells you like where you want to be driving your ads. It tells you where you want to be positioning your products on your site. It tells you where you want to be focusing on what kind of products to be selling. It makes all the world a difference because it's asking people what they're interested in, and then it's changing your business or pivoting your business in the direction of what the market is looking for. So just wanted to kind of jump in through that. I think these are a big win. I love them a lot. I think they're really cool. So you can test these out from here. We use these exclusively for brands that we work with to make sure that we're capturing the data that we want from there. So that's all of those. That was a step-by-step email sign-up form training. Hope you enjoyed it. Any questions, drop them down in the comments. Always happy to answer anything that we can. Today we're going to go through how to actually build email welcome flows in Klaviyo the right way, not the old way. And there's a little bonus on the end on how to utilize zero-party data to create better customer journeys. So I would stick around to the end or skip to the end to watch that at the very least. So if you're unaware, purpose of welcome flows, quite simply, you are here to nurture new subscribers. So somebody has come onto your page, they have signed up, and they need to know more about your brand and what you do, what you're about, how you can help them. Yeah, it's also an opportunity to position your brand in the best possible light. So it's first impressions when you go into a shop. If you walk into a store or a shop and there's rubbish everywhere and the staff are rude and they're dressed terribly and you can't find anything, you're going to walk back out. So that's the same kind of thing within the welcome flow. Is you need to use this opportunity through a number of emails, maybe 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 emails, to put your brand in the best possible light. And then obviously, probably the most important one from your perspective as a brand owner is you are converting strangers into customers. So you spend a fortune in driving them from Meta or somewhere else or Google onto your site, and you've given them some kind of incentive or some kind of gifting to get them to sign up to your email newsletter. And then as a result of that, you want to use this opportunity to capture their attention while they're warm and turn them into a paying customer. So that's it. Doesn't need to be any deeper than that, any more confusing than that, straightforward. Now, the reason that most welcome flows are terrible is because not a lot of thought goes into them. So just a couple of ideas here that I've seen that, immediately is going to put people off. Like, this is something we see with a lot of brands that we start to partner with and they haven't given a lot of thought to their email marketing, is they will just write loads and loads of words in a big wall of text, like over here, thinking that that's what you want to see when you open an email. Now, most people, when they open an email, they've come across your brand and they're interested in something. They don't want to read 20 minutes worth of words. They want an incentive. They want a reason to buy. They want you to create the emotional connection between them and the product or the brand. Yeah. And then another example here, like this is an email I got recently. Now, this isn't a terrible email in terms of the words, like it's cool, but like the images don't work. So there's no thought that goes into making sure that the images that they're putting on actually like show up in, like, this is Gmail, for example. I mean, the rest is okay. Like, bit of personalization is okay. Nice, friendly welcome. Like, it's all right, but not really a lot of thought has gone into testing the important things, and that's why most flows just don't work the way they want to, because like this puts people off. People immediately like, well, I can't see the image, and it's just like nothing captures my attention. Like a not very bright, a not very colorful sort of incentive here. And it's like I would have that orange up here, if anything. Like, I don't want to drive people to shop. I want people to know, like, hey, there's 20% off code. You see, so like there's not really a great deal of thought that goes into making sure the entire experience is the best possible one. Then this is the framework that we typically use. So at the time of recording, January 2025, this is the framework that we typically use for most brands. Now, the caveat here is if you're a high ticket brand, you sell something that's like $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, pounds, you have one hero product. So, it might be that one thing. The buyer decision making process is a lot longer than, say, if you're selling watch bands for Apple, for example, or if you're selling a gym bag, or if you're selling some kind of alcoholic beverage. The buyer decision making process is a lot longer. So the caveat here is your emails want to be a lot longer if you're a high ticket brand. So like this one here, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You've got 8 emails in a welcome flow. Like, that's ample for most brands. But again, if you're selling high ticket, this wants to potentially be double, and you want to do a much bigger job at using every email to really like set the stage and take people on more of a journey, because they need to understand more and more and more. You need to break down that that decision making process a lot better. So generally speaking, this is the process that we will put in place for clients, and then we can test and improve on there. So how we typically run it is the first email will be a welcome to the brand with some kind of incentive. So whether it's free delivery, 10% off, free, plushie with whatever order, like whatever the incentive is, will be in the first email. And that'll be the main part of the first email, and then with a sort of a brief introduction, just so people kind of have a bit of a reminder of what you're about and can kind of connect to what you're about. Second email is a brand story. Then the third one is bestsellers, so helping people make that decision. Then it's customer focus. Then it's the us versus them. Then it's the offer reminder. Then it's the last chance. And then it's the happy to help and the social push. So we're going to go through all of these just to kind of break them down and make them easier to understand what's important with all of them. And that'll give you an idea of how to make the best use of them. So this is how we break it down. The welcome email with your incentive. Now, this is the email that's going to make you typically the most amount of money of any welcome email that you ever build. It's going to be the one that almost everybody opens, because they want the incentive, they want the discount, they want whatever it is you're offering, they want that. It's all about them. They're like, I want this thing. So if you're only gonna like put the energy into like a small number of emails, this is the one that like you really, really need to hammer really hard, because this is the one, right? So really, really straightforward. You don't have to overthink this. Welcome somebody to the brand. Have the offer above the fold. So the kind of this bit here that people are going to see when they open. So anything kind of above before they have to scroll, and then some kind of brief introduction on here. So This one we did for Built for Athletes. They have a gift at the top. It's like 10% discount exclusive for you. Code dedicated 10. Let the adventure begin. Really cool imagery. Really sets the tone. And then grab your gear now. And then just a bit of an introduction. So, welcome to Performance Adventure that stands the test of time. Really sort of highlighting why their products are awesome. Pumped to have you with us. Kick things off. Use code dedicated 10, save 10% on your first order. Use it within 10 days to score some epic gear. So that has everything in there. It has a brief intro, lets people know hey, you got 10 days. This is who we're about. And that's not really a lot of words. And then just a couple of call to actions that drive people here. Now, we test different call to actions on here all the time, especially on this one. So these will change on a regular basis. So this one could be save 10%, use code dedicated 10, grab your discount, or grab your gear now. We found this to work better than the other ones that are grab your 10%, but these are things you want to be testing on a regular basis as well. And we found gifts at the top to be really cool because they're it draws their eyes and they're oh, 10% exclusive for me, cool. And then they see the code, the strap line, boom, and they're buying. Now, what we'd say about this email, and we'll go into kind of metrics on here, a good email marketing strategy will see, at least 70 to 80% of people opening this email within your Klaviyo metrics. So something to keep an eye out for on this one. Then next one, brand story. So where possible, this wants to be a founder-led brand story. So it could be hey, I'm X from Y brand, and this is why we exist. Yeah, it lets people get a peek inside, of the brand. Lets people get an understanding of why you exist. And then you get to think of it as you're building it, of it's like a home viewing. Somebody comes in to view the house. You kind of want them to know hey, here's the pool, and here's this other thing we've got, and here's an elevator that takes you to the top of the stairs, and if you press this button, it makes you dinner magically out of nowhere. All these benefits, this is the opportunity for you to really sort of, as the founder, say hey, this is why I created this brand. This is the problem we solve, and this is what we've done, and this is how we can change your life, and that's it. Now, we found that plain text at the moment, and again, January 2025, time of recording this, plain text for these tend to be working quite well. So you could have, either a completely plain text email or one with an image of yourself at the top, bit of text, and maybe a couple of images, and keeping it very image light. The idea is, you want people to feel like it's coming from you as the founder rather than a sales email itself. So that's how you do the brand story. I wouldn't have walls and walls and walls of text. Use plenty of white space. Make sure people can scan and read the email, especially on a mobile. And this email will do really well as a second email. Then email 3 comes to the best sellers. It's hey, here are our top 3 selling products, right? People start to warm up to your brand. This is kind of the point where you'll start to see people converting, as you're pushing them through. They've had multiple touch points. They've maybe seen your ads 4 or 5 times. They've seen, 3 emails at this point. They're starting to get warm to your brand. They might not know which product that they want. And this is your opportunity to kind of put the best sellers in front of them. Now, they're your best sellers for a reason. So if you've got, 10, 15 products and you have 3 solid best sellers that sell 2-3 times more than everything else, you want to put those front of house. Yeah, just like you would do in a normal storefront, here are our best sellers. You drive people towards that because you want people to come in, grab what they want, buy, and get out. Yeah, so make that buy decision easier. Yeah, share your best selling products. Keep it between sort of 3 and 5. Don't go too heavy. 3, seems to be the magic number for us at the moment. And don't forget to share some social proof. Proof that's relevant to the product. So the reader can kind of put themselves into that, and they're yeah, that's me. So if you're buying from Built for Athletes, for example, you've got 3 best selling pro bags. Show a mixture of different athletes with that bag with some social proof. That kind of somebody can step into that and be okay, I get why I need this product now. A nice social proof here, this is a really good one brand wide. I've ordered 10 Solid Bands. This is for our friends over at Solid Bands. I love them all. Great selection, excellent website, fast shipping, good packaging. My husband and I both wear them daily. He loves this new. It just goes on, and it's that's probably a little bit longer than maybe I'd want to put on, but you get the point. That's a really strong bit of social proof that you can put in. If you find these for the relevant products, awesome. But you could condense this as well and make it a little bit shorter. Love them all, great selection. And then the fact that my husband and I both wear them, that in itself, as a headline for the email would be awesome. So something to consider. And then customer focus. So you want to use this email to tell like 1 to 3 stories of customers whose lives have changed from using your brand. Okay, so if you can have customers who like are huge brand advocates and you can get them to record a video, or leave some good social proof that like really tells the story, then you want to put the customer front and center of this, because then this gives the reader the opportunity to again step into like, okay, this is why I want to buy from this brand. This person from here, who looks like me, talks like me, walks like me, does what I do, is telling me this product's great. This will help people connect to like-minded people who have vouched for your brand. So this is actually really, really important. And then if you can direct, people to videos that are embedded on your site, that's a huge win too. So you can direct people to like Instagram and where there's a video, or YouTube, but we would put the video and embed it on the site so that it takes people there and they can be on site and then make the purchase from there. So, if you can direct people on one of the videos, so it could be like, hey, listen to Sharon's story on why she chose X product. And then it's an image of the video. Click it straight onto site, and then you're taking people in the right direction. Again, don't overthink these. Just put some energy into how you can make them work, and test. And these will always work. Then this is one of my favorite ones at this point. Like, we're really going to call people out in the us versus them. So it's like, we're built different. We're not the same. Us versus them. People get the idea. Yeah, I'll move myself out of the way a little bit. Like, these kind of visuals are working on ads quite a lot, so you can use the same kind of thing within the email. Like this coffee here, like delicious, no sugar, less than $1 a cup. This like $5 extra sugar, so it's watered down and inconsistent. Like, that this is like a Costa Coffee or Starbucks kind of thing. These probiotics, like green sludge, they're kind of like maybe not necessarily calling out athletic greens, but like they are. Yeah. I don't know what these means. 20 billion, 72 CFU, like no idea. But like, I'd probably make the language better. Pricing, this is why we're different. Reaches it alive, doesn't survive the acid. 1 capsule, poor flavored. Like, it really just tells you like, this is why we're awesome. This is why these guys aren't. Same for like heights. Traditional multivitamins are full of nasties. Talcum powder, sheep wool, titanium dioxide. Like, really hitting hard as to like why most of your multivitamins are just horrible. Then heights are like free of fillers, 20 key vitamins, so like numbers, sustainably sourced vegan. Like, it throws it in there like, hey, this is why we're awesome, and here's a picture of our really cool product with a funny looking, like, I don't know, weird eye drop sort of image from there. But this is a great email to really show why you are different to your main competitors or people within your industry. And this is important because if you don't have emails like this in, you're not really giving people an opportunity not to just go straight to Amazon and buy, a product that's like 10% of the price, for example. Next email on that is the reminder of the offer. So you've put a lot of work in at the front end. You've done a lot of like breaking down barriers, building trust, explaining why you're different. Yeah. This is where you want to remind people that they have an incentive to claim. So it might be like, hey, don't forget you've got 10% off your first thing, or 15% off your first thing, or you get your free gift, blah, blah, blah. Add some powerful social proof below the reminder. Really clear call to action, grab it now, done. Like, you don't have to overthink these ones again and really go into depth and making this a long one. This can be a really short email. Nice bit of social proof, like, hey, this is from Built for Athletes, I think. Use the company for a while. I know 99% of what they have to offer. Like, that screams volumes of like how the brand is awesome. I'd honestly never use it anywhere else. Built to last, and the quality is spot on. Personally, yeah, Built for Athletes will always be my go-to for anything I need. Like, that in itself, like, that tells everyone like, okay, this person thinks they are the best and they buy all their stuff. So like, why do they do that? They must be awesome. Yeah, so really, really simple one on here. And then we jump into the last chance. Now, something we have to say here is like, create some actual urgency. And I put this image in here not as like something to follow, but just as some pointers. You can put in like your offer expires in 12 hours, 24 hours, whatever, but keep it super simple. Just like, hey, name your offer, of whatever runs out in this time. After that, it's gone forever. If you want to grab it, now's your time. Done. Like, a lot of people will say like, use timers, and we don't use timers. And sometimes, depending on the brand, they can work, but we found a lot of times that people just don't like them and they don't integrate very well. They can look quite poor. Wouldn't typically use them. I think they're in poor taste. Now, that might be personal opinion. And you might think I'm wrong, and that's cool. You might have evidence to say they're great, but from the brands we work with, like when we've tried using these, they've never had a positive outcome. So you can keep it really simple, like your 30% off ends in 12 hours, last chance to save 30% on your order, or if you could send this again like at 8 a.m. on that day, and you could be like, your offer ends at 5 p.m. Eastern time, bit of text, get the discount, boom, done, and that's it. Really, really simple. Then the very last one in the sequence is kind of like signing off, almost as if you do as if people have come into your store, in a physical store, and they've had a look around and they're not quite sure they're ready to buy. It's like, hey, just let people know how they can reach out to you with questions about your brand. So it could be like, hey, if you ever have any questions around, buying with us, or you want to know more about our products, reply to this email or click this link and it can take you to the chat bot on the site, for example. Whatever the channel is you prefer to use, drive it that way. And then invite them to follow you on Instagram, for example, and give them some incentives like, hey, we always put, what's happening behind the scenes on Instagram, or we always put our product drops here first, or we all share stories on X, Y, and Z with offers, yeah? No need to overthink it again. Just let people know how they can reach out to you and send them to your socials from there and sign people off. Don't focus on trying to go for the sale at this point. Like, if they'd wanted to buy at that point, like they'd have bought. So this is just kind of the point of like setting them on the way, like kind of trusting that they'll come back. And as you send campaigns, you're going to look to convert them that way as well. So that is the kind of email framework that we would typically follow and recommend for people to use. And then just going to jump into a bit of a kind of more forward thinking of ways to do this. So depending on where you are in your email marketing journey for your brand, and depending on the amount of products you have, and depending on what you're trying to achieve, it may make sense to look at opportunities to gather some zero-party data. So what we do with this brand here, this is like the first pop-up, this is the second one, and weirdly enough, it performs much better without imagery, which baffles me, but it does. So what we have here is like once somebody comes on the site, after a period of time, 8, 10, 24 seconds, whatever, we tell people like, hey, you've got 15% off. To claim your discount, tell us how we can help you chill. And it's like, I need to refocus, reduce my stress, help me with sleep, boost my immunity. Like these are kind of the 4 key areas that people come to the site for. And what we want to do is once somebody clicks that button and they sign up, that profile will be updated to say, hey, they care about focus, or they care about stress, or they care about the sleep, or they care about their immunity. So immediately we're able to gather like, okay, this person is interested in this one thing, so we can target them based on the products we have that fit within the category. They put their email in, they sign up, and then it goes straight to Klaviyo on here. And what we do is we set custom properties on there, so you can do the same based on their interest is focus, immunity, sleep, or stress. And then obviously there's one at the end. I just wanted to keep it smaller so you could read it, just in case for whatever reason they don't save and we still want them to get an email. I've not seen anything happen there yet, but like it's just catch-all. Now, we're able to then take people down on a different path based on what their interest is. So the very first email here is like, hey, welcome to Chill, here's 15% off, and then we make some product recommendations for focus-related products. Straightforward. 16 hours later, and it's like, hey, take your focus to the next level, 15% off. And we tell a bit of a story about why this brand is the brand of choice, for people to deal with focus. And then a bit more sort of brand story here with very, very specifics, like how to stay sharp and clear naturally. So we kind of want to tell people the story of like, hey, here's how you do that. Here's some ideas, and here's where this brand fits in. So this kind of it doesn't follow the framework I've shown you for good reason, but like as we've developed this has kind of become the pathway that we want to follow for here. So if somebody chooses immunity, they come down here, and it's very similar. Like, welcome to Chill. Here's 15% to get off immunity, and it's like, hey, boost your immunity with 15% off. Here's some product recommendations. Here's other ideas, and then for under here, which you can't see, it's like how to boost your immunity. You get the idea. So we've created 4 completely different pathways here based on what somebody wants to do, what they're interested in. They're like, hey, help me with my focus. No problem, got you. Here's, 4, 5, 6, 7 emails that show you how to improve your focus. Here's 4, 5, 6, 7 emails, all on immunity, sleep, stress, whatever. Like this is actually a really, really helpful way to do this. And this is one of many ways that you can do this and collect zero-party data. It's not that difficult to do. You go in, you set some custom properties based on your sign-up form. I'll probably do a separate video on this for you to view so you can see exactly how we've done it, and you can just copy and paste. But like this creates a much better journey. People are getting emails for what they want, and we're able to put the product in front of them a lot sooner. Like when the best sellers come in, it's like, here's your top 3 focus products, here's your top 3 immunity products, here's your top 3 sleep products, here's your top 3 stress products, which we can put in a dynamic block or whatever we want to do from there. So this is something we're not seeing a lot of brands do, and I think we're missing a trick here if you're not doing this, because this is the way that you can start to create proper customer journeys based on interest levels from day one, before you even send a single email. Because then when you send campaigns, you may have, a product that is stress related over here, and there may be an offer on that, and you want these people to know, like, hey, especially if they're not bought, you might have 2,000 people that are interested in stress related products that have never bought, and you're like, but we've actually got a 50% discount on this stress related product. Like, this audience want to know, like, put it in front of their face, like, tell them, and language that campaign around that. So that's why we do that. I hope that helps. I am Mac. So in this video, we are going to show you how to properly recover checkout abandoners for your brand so that you can make loads of money and stop losing customers for no reason at all. Now, in this video, we're going to cover some key areas. So why people abandon in the first place, which is important. How many people abandon, just to give you some context. How to approach abandonment checkout flows. So same but different. Not all customer is the same. Not all brand is the same, etc. Flow structure ideas. So I'm going to show you some AIM specific flow structure ideas, which will not only give you a template to follow, but will help you understand how to create one for every individual brand. I'm going to show you some nice emails, some that we've done, some that we like, and then we're going to show you some metrics so that you know what you're doing is right. So why do, look at me, I'm in the way here. Can I get out of the way? No. You're stuck with me. So why do people abandon their cart at the checkout? Reason number 1, unexpected costs. 48% of shoppers often abandon their carts when they encounter unexpected or high additional costs, such as shipping taxes or fees. So that's one thing you need to consider. Now, you can actually deal with that without doing emails and reduce it drastically by having free shipping, and putting the shipping costs within the price, for example. If not, then you can deal with it within the email flows and kind of highlight why shipping costs what it does, for example, especially if it's international, right? Second one, people are just browsing. So 34% of customers are not ready to purchase, and they'll use the cart as a wish list for price comparison. I know my wife does this all the time. She'll just add it to cart, and then she'll get all these emails, and she'll wonder why everyone's emailing them. And this is why. Yeah. Third one, they found a better deal elsewhere. So 23%, no small number. Customers might leave if they find a better price, better offer, or an incentive on another site. So people don't just come to checkout and they're like, okay, I'm straight in, I'm going to buy. Unless you've got a Gymshark and you're like, I want to buy this thing. People will typically get as far as a checkout and they'll see the price, and then they'll open up another tab and they'll go and look somewhere else. They'll look on Amazon, they'll look on another website, they'll look at your direct competitors, and they will see if they can get a better deal elsewhere, as they should. And then another one that really annoys me, complicated checkout process. So long or overly complex checkout forms typically deter the shoppers. So streamline the process, and you can significantly improve your conversions. Yeah. So make it easy, like one click straight to checkout and buy. None of this like 4 or 5 step things. People will just leave. And then one that I haven't seen much with brands that we work with, but 17%. There's a lack of trust in the site's payment security, and that can lead to customers to abandon their purchase. So it's handy to have that within the checkout process, and also within the emails as well. So that is why people abandon their checkout. So if you want to grab this, screen grab it, take it. It's really handy to have. You want to focus on this one first, then this one, then this, so on and so forth. You get the idea. And then, how many people actually abandon their cart? So there's quite some interesting numbers here. The global average is just shy of 70%. That's 7 out of 10 people will abandon their cart. Desktop, only 67%, so slightly lower. Mobile, a whopping 85%. This is typically due to poor user experience or slower load times, because people don't make the checkout process on their store mobile friendly. And then tablet hovers around 70-75%, so it's kind of in the middle. Then even as far as being industry specific, so fashion is like 74% of people within fashion. This is typical. People are looking for better offers elsewhere, or if they can find the same item for less. Travel and tourism, 85% is really high. Ticket booking and holiday planning is quite typical as well. And then electronics, 76%, grocery, 60 to 65%. So you get the idea. It's very specific, and this is important information because not every industry is the same, right? Then, how to approach checkout abandonment flow. So there's some things to notice here that are important, right? Checkout abandonment isn't cart abandonment. We'll go into what that means in a moment. There's different levels of intent. no two customers are the same, and no two brands are the same. So you can't just build, like, contrary to what a lot of agencies will tell you, that you can just build the same flow and it'll work. It won't. It's different, and it's important that your agency or your team or you tests and tries different ideas to find what works for your brand and also for the customers. So you take them down separate paths, which we're going to go into in some email ideas shortly. So highest intent, those who abandon at checkout are typically those with the highest intent to make a purchase. So they've got as far as the checkout, like that's the last point. Before that, they put it in their basket and they're not quite, on the way to the checkout yet. So they picked up their basket, they filled it up, and then they just put it on the side and walked out of the shop, which is odd, but people do that online. Then you've got the browse abandonment. So they're in the tire kickers, they're looking around, they've looked at the product and think, oh, this looks cool, and then they walk out of the shop. Again, typical. And then the site abandonment, these are your window shoppers. They, get to the door, they look inside, and they're like, nah, I'm okay for now, and they're out the door. So we want to, and there'll be separate videos on all these, we want to capture people at different levels of their journeys. But the key thing here is we need to treat these people differently. If somebody gets as far as checkout and abandons, we want to treat them differently than somebody who gets as far as the abandoned cart, the tire kickers, browse abandonment, and then the site abandonment as well. So, and then same but different. So no two customers are the same. Okay, this applies to things like buying frequency. This is something you can split within your flows. Product interest, again, something you can split with your flows, and also things like money spent and so on. So if we can segment our customers based on a number of different things, we can create personalized customer journeys that are relevant to where they are. So non-buyers, we want to treat them different to buyers. For example, people that are interested in this one item compared to somebody who's interested in this type of item within categories, we want to treat them differently as well, as much as possible, without obviously affecting revenue, which is important. So, and again, we don't have to make this complicated. This is a key theme throughout a lot of the videos I put on. You don't have to make this stuff complicated. It is straightforward. And building your checkout abandonment flow. I'm going to share a couple of ideas with you in a second. I'm going to pause this and then jump across. Here we are. So I'm going to share two completely different flows that have some very key differences in them. So I'll just zoom in as much as possible. This is a flow that we use quite a lot. So this is one that, right from the very beginning, we split people up based on have they placed an order overall time. Now you can vary this, depending on the type of products you have. It could be, has placed an order once in the last 60 days. So if it's, you have a lot of products and people come back, reoccurring purchases, and they come back quite a lot, then you may want to dial this down. If this is like a homeware brand, for example, and people don't come all the time, and we just want to split them based on the fact that they've placed an order, then that's what we want to do. And the kind of key difference here is, so you can put this conditional split further down if you prefer, but we just put it at the top because then we can measure each individual email. Even though like these two will be pretty much the same, we want to measure them based on the individual person. So if they place an order at least once over all time, we want to treat them a little bit differently. So if they haven't, this is how we would do it for this flow specifically. So we'd send them a nudge email. So like, hey, it looks like there's something behind. Do you need any help? And we give people the opportunity to ask questions. So rather than just like, hey, you left something behind, please buy. It's like, how can we help you? Respond to this email, or, reach out to our chat thing, whatever makes the most sense. We want to give people the opportunity to ask for help from there, because if they don't need any help, they'll probably make the purchase, and that's cool. If they do, then we're giving them the opportunity to do so. And we found that this works really, really well. Second one, email 2. Now, just to note, these time differences, these are not set in stone. Like, these are what we typically set them at, and then we would test them over time. 1 hour is typically like the best for checkout across the board. And then we might want to do this like 2 days later, a day later, a day and a half later, whatever. And then a day, and then maybe 3 days. Like, it doesn't, these can be changed. Email 2 is testimonials and social proof. So I'm going to show you like a cool email example of this shortly, but we want to kind of put us head and shoulders above the competition in the words of our customers. So if you've got some partnerships with like Tesla, for example, you might want to put that in this email. If you've got some celebrity customers, you might want to put that in the email. If you've got some customers that think you guys are awesome, brand specific, put that within that email. And then what we do from here, email 3 and 4, is like, hey, here's a 2-day gift or 48-hour gift, a discount, here's 20% off, or, here's whatever discount or offer. Here's free shipping. Whatever the offer is you want to test, we introduce it by email 3, and then email 4 is like, hey, here's your last chance. Now the difference here is this person's bought before, so they're like, hey, here's your nudge. Do you want to buy? Do you need any help? Cool, no. The next one's like, hey, you've already bought from us. We've already acquired you through ads, organically, social, whatever. You know, you're free. We don't have to pay for you at this point. So we're going to introduce an offer sooner because at this point, you know, that discount there, the margins within there are not cut into as much as over here, for example. So we're happy to introduce this sooner to get that repeat purchase and turn them from a one-time buyer to a two-time buyer. Now, if you want to change, you know, to just one, they place once here, and you want to do it, you know, second-time buyers, totally can do that. Whatever works for you and your brand. You guys as brand owners will kind of understand what that looks like. And then, you know, last one is like last chance to get your discount. So pretty straightforward. I like this one a lot. I think it's a really good flow. I think it's very simple. Does the job. Really, really good for lifestyle brands that might have 10 to 15 different products with loads of variations, for example. Now, the second one, a little bit more involved, but still super powerful, and I'll explain why, is we'll send the first email like, hey, it looks like you're left something behind. Do you need any help? Here's a nudge, etc. Second one, social proof. So this goes to everybody like, hey, like here's a bit of social proof. Here's why people should buy from you, so on and so forth. And then from here, and this is dependent on the product. So again, this is why, like I say, same but different, is if you have a variety of different categories. So say if you only sell 5 different products and you have, you know, one that is like $500 and then the other 4 are like $20. We're going to want to split them differently because like those who are over here that are looking at the $500 product, their buyer decision is going to need to be a little bit different than these guys over here. So we're going to want to word that email differently, and we're going to want to put a lot more in trying to compel these people to make a decision based on that product. And it's an opportunity to personalize, like, hey, we see that you were looking at this $500 amazing product that like gives you all your hair back or something. Whereas anybody else on here, the messaging can be different. So you could have 5. You could literally split this and then split and split and split and have 5. But ultimately you get the idea here that you can split it based on the product. That element of personalization will increase conversions, but it also helps you change the language based on if the value is higher or if the product's completely different. Then from there, what we do is we look at splitting again for those who bought at least once. So if they bought at least once, it's like, hey, here's your discount and here's your last chance. Very much similar to the flow over here. And then on the next one over here, because they're not bought, we want to do like a bit of USP, a bit of risk reversal. So a bit of like, you know, hey, if you buy this and you don't love it, you know, which you will, you can send it back within 60 days. And did you know that we are the best brand that does cereal because you get 1 million grams of protein and, you know, no fats or something? You get the idea. I'm going to show you a couple of ideas on that in another email soon. So you get the idea here. So that's just 2. Now, the reason I show you this one that's a little bit more involved as a bit of direction is I don't want you to come away from these flows and be like, I'm just going to use this one. Like, try them, test them, see what they work. But you want to get into your head at like, okay, I can split people based on different things. And that's what you want to be thinking about. These conditional splits could be anything. This one here, for example, could be, you know, has spent at least $100 or at least $500. Yes. Okay, what do I want to send to these people? Like, they're VIPs at this point. Do I want to treat them as such? Maybe I want to do that at that pre-purchase point from there. That's why that's super important. So I'm going to jump back into the presentation. Okay, so this is my favorite part here where we are going to cover a number of different ideas and of different designs. So this is real simple, like, hey, don't leave your order behind. Complete your order. Here's the product, little bit of text. You know, social proof is cool. Really important things here like 60-day returns, trusted by 200,000 athletes, fast shipping worldwide, recommended backpack, and all the usual stuff. Like, we don't care about this stuff right now, but really simple, like, hey, don't leave your order behind, bit of spiel, here's your product, complete your order. And then the second one, this is like the offer that we did, and it's like, hey, we have an exclusive offer just for you. Use the code DUOPatch at checkout, and you'll get 2 patches completely free with your order. So people are like, oh, cool, I'm going to buy a bag. And this is for people who are looking to buy a bag, so we split them based on that. So if these are people looking to buy a bag from Built for Athletes, then obviously, you know, we want to we want to give them some kind of offer, and 2 patches seems to be a really cool offer. We tried this against loads of different offers, works really well. So really straightforward, doesn't have to be loads. And then Surreal, what I like about this one here is they've got the product in here, and then they've got a really cool like us versus them, like no sugar, you know, low carbs, higher protein, high fiber, gluten free, and then, you know, nice bit of text, and then a really cool call to action like eat me, which is sick. And then Prana, what I like about these ones is like, hey, come back to make this tank yours. But you might also like these. So they're sharing some other products. Now, I don't know, this is not our brand. I don't know if they have a specific sort of product recommendation on here, but you can definitely go really deep and do some product recommendation based on what people are looking at. So I think this is really cool for that, especially as a fashion brand, because people might go here and be like, I don't want that now, I quite like this one. And then they can click it and go and buy it. And then everyone wins. Last one, don't just take our word for it. Good bit of social proof. You know, here's the product there, a little bit of text, and it's a nice bit of social proof on here. If anything, I would consider like removing this where possible and have these further up, or maybe lead with one of these. Yeah, lead with one of these at the top. So where that text is there, like have incredible, drank this on a movie night and it was a perfect evening. Boom. You get the idea. And then, you know, shop by category, then all good stuff from there. So there's some really cool ideas to, you know, if you want to screen grab this and take some inspiration, or go to reallygoodemails.com. We use that quite a lot to get some ideas. That's where I stole these 3 from. You get the idea. So very lastly, at the end, metrics to watch out for. So there's loads of metrics you can check, but just as a kind of ballpark understanding, especially if you're kind of trying to put this together yourself, open rates, click rates, and placed order rates is where we want to be paying a lot of our attention. So the benchmark for open rates between 40 and 60%. Yeah. Things that are going to do that, good subject line. So, you know, are you thinking about Bill for Athletes? Are you thinking about your new bag? Are you thinking about these shoes? You know, whatever, something like that. Personalization. So I don't just mean like the name. The name is great, but like put the product details in the subject line, or put the product details within the content of the email as well. People know what they're there for, and it makes that kind of like they have to think less, therefore chances of them buying are expected to be higher. And then click rates, you know, anywhere between 15 and 25%. This is much higher than obviously campaigns where you might have 3, 5, 7%, whatever. You know, this is a lot higher because it's very specific. But clear and prominent CTAs, you know, like return to your car or complete your order, complete your purchase. Include product images, price details, and any incentives. Like have this information in there to let people know, like the high likelihood that we'll click through and go back to the checkout again. And then the placed order rate, 10 to 20%, you know, again, personalized flows, dynamic content showing the exact products, I said that, and then they typically perform better. And that's it. Okay, cool. So in this video, we're going to talk about how to create post-purchase email flows the right way in Klaviyo and using some other tools. Now, most people do post-purchasing all wrong, in my opinion. So I'm going to share that with you in this video. Should be a short one. So the purpose of your post-purchase flows is, and in no particular order, okay, increase sales, kill buyer remorse, nurture any new customers, and gather UGC, so user-generated content, and reviews. So a lot of the time, people, brands, marketers will approach the thank you as just an opportunity to say, cheers, we love you, you're so awesome, thanks, and some other insincere compliment to the customer. And then they'll maybe try and push them towards their Instagram page, and that's kind of it. Missing lots of opportunity. So this is what we do here. We focus on an opportunity to increase sales. We turn it into an opportunity to educate about care of the products, or introducing more about the brand, depending on the kind of brand. And we treat it as an opportunity to build a relationship, fully understanding that just because the customer has bought doesn't mean that the job is over and your marketing is done and happy days. There's so much more that can be done. So the reason most post-purchase flows are trash, not very good, people don't capitalize on buyer intent. We're talking about nearly 30% of people will buy again within 3 hours of having made a purchase. We kind of want to capitalize on that as much as possible. They don't align with the after-sales transactional emails. That's another one. You might buy a product and then you get like 5 emails in 20 minutes. to that point, you're like, I just don't want to receive them, so I'm going to unsubscribe. And you've lost lost a customer, and it can get a little bit overwhelming, especially if you're selling, a high value product or quite a technical product. Like I said, people treat it as a sale complete, like, oh, I made the sale, cool, happy days. No, we want more sales. We want to turn that buyer into a raving fan, and this is where it begins. And ultimately, they're just boring. So this is a framework that we use almost all of the time. It is dependent on the kind of brand that we work with, and depending on the kind of brand that you are, sometimes this wants to be a little bit different. So that's one caveat that we need to just consider. But the way we'll approach this is a thank you from the founder where possible, and or an opportunity to cross-sell a relevant kind of product, or upsell a relevant product. I'm going to show you a couple of examples shortly. And like I said, nearly 30% of buyers will buy again within 3 hours of their first purchase or their whatever purchase. So let's try and capitalize on that. The second email will be a bit of a reminder, like, hey, do you want more? Like, we've got more. Come and grab something, because this is an optimal time. Like, people are still thinking about your order. They may not have received it by then. This is typically 3 days later. So we would send the first email immediately. This one 3 days later. This one, depending on how long it takes to process the order, because we want to time it around the transactional email. So this is something that you kind of have to, be intuitive about. And then the last one, typically, a week or two after the order, because they've received it, they've got use of it. And again, depends on what it is you're buying. If you're buying like an Apple Watch band, you could get a review quite quick. If somebody's buying a computer, then you might want to give them more time to get the full benefits of it. And that's something just to consider there. So the timeframes are kind of a little bit more flexible. So first one, get that repeat sale. Really, really simple. Confirm the purchase. And what I mean by that is not like, thank you for buying, which most people do. Yeah, it's like, look at this one. Your bag is sorted, but your workout isn't complete without the right accessories. It's like, hey, we know you've just bought a bag from us, because this brand, Built for Athletes, sells some of the coolest gym bags. This is targeted to people who just bought a bag. So, hey, your bag's sorted, but your workout isn't complete without the right accessories. Offer a relevant cross-sell. Here we are. You might want a bottle, or you might want, an inner bag for your shoes, so it doesn't smell inside your bag with dirty shoes, especially if you're into like high rocks or cross-country running or, something like that. And make it easy to buy again. So put some of your best sellers in here, your most sold products that are not your main product, for example. And that's a cross-sell opportunity. I'm going to show you an image in a minute of the other way around, if people have bought a product and we want to sell the bag. But like, make it really, really easy. It doesn't have to be over the top. We don't have to do this. Thank you so much for your custom. We love you so much. It's insincere at this point, because almost everybody sends the email, and it just, if everybody's doing it, then do something different. So this is something different. Second one, this like, hey, do you want more? So this is like a couple of days later or 3 days later. Very similar to the first one. Yeah, you're just sending a relevant reminder of the cross-sell or the upsell opportunities, and you're making it easy to choose again. Really straightforward. So this one goes out to people who may have bought one of the main products, and we're trying to kind of like push an upgrade on a bag, but also targeting somebody, who has bought one of these bags or never bought one of these bags and then has bought an accessory. So if they bought a water bottle or something else, we're targeting these people here to say, hey, maybe you want to look at one of our really cool bags, the Pro Series or one of the Hero backpacks, for example. So relevant reminder again, they've already received an email before this. It's like, hey, our bags are designed to stand the test of time, setting us apart from imitators. So really pushing, this is an important one for this brand, because if you know anything about, gym bags, you could buy something that looks like this on Amazon and it would be like a tenth of the price, but it's going to be poor quality. It isn't going to last very long. These guys have built something that like is solid. Yeah. So for a reliable bag, you only have to buy once. Buy with Built for Athletes. Boom. Really straightforward, to the point. And then making it easy, like, hey, here's our Hero backpack, and here's our 25-liter gym backpack, Pro Series one. And then under here, just not enough space to get the full range of it. There's a couple more options. That's it for the second email. It doesn't have to be over the top again. And you'll see at this point, but it's still not like pandering and like, oh, we're so grateful that you bought, you're the best. Right? It's different. It's like, hey, like, you might want this, let's buy it. That's email 2. And then email 3 is more of the aftercare. So this is all about killing buyer remorse, getting people excited. And this depends again on the kind of product that you're buying. It's about sharing those aftercare instructions, and then it's leaving the option open, to buy some more if people want to. You'll see on here, like, we're not pushing another product at this point. Like we've already given some options 2 emails ago. This times really nicely with the bag should be on its way. And again, this is just for people who have bought the bag. So we target people based on this. And then if people are buying other products, they'll get another email, or they just won't get this email. If they're buying a water bottle, people don't need to be told like how to take care of a water bottle, right? And we've kept it quite straightforward. It's like, congrats, you've just leveled up your gear. Thanks for your purchase. You made the right choice. Our gear is designed with the highest quality. Blah blah blah. Like we're reinforcing why people are buying it. So people are like, yeah, I have made the right choice. I have bought something that is going to last. I'm really excited to get it. Can't wait to use it. Can't wait to put all my gear in it, etc., etc. And it's like, hey, how to care for your new kit? Really straightforward. Like, hey, use a damp cloth. Store in a cool, dry place. Like, it might seem really simple, but like this helps people recognize. And we've done some data on this to see the kind of questions that people are asking when they bought products. So we're able to understand like the really simple questions people are asking. Like, don't just guess on this. Do a couple of custom surveys about the after purchase experience, and be like, hey, what were your biggest concerns when you bought your product? And then maintenance, like zippers, I wanted to make sure that there was no wear and tear on them. How do I know to take care of them? It's like, just keep an eye on them. They will last. They're solid. You get the idea. And that's it. Like, this is the third email in. You're kind of like generating more of that journey now. You're showcasing how to look after the product, how to get use of it. Now, if it's a how to get use of, like, link it to a video on an embedded video on the website, for example, for your store, and like say, hey, this is how you get the best use of this new computer or this new iPad or this new thing. It's like, hey, here's, then you unbox it and you use it and like take people on that experience. It kind of builds the excitement, and that buyer remorse is then gone. Then very last one. So this is all about how to collect reviews and or UGC. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit about Yotpo here because I think they're far better than Klaviyo for what they're doing. They're putting a lot of energy into building out a really cool review process, which I'm going to talk a little bit about now, and also the sort of UGC collection as well. So first thing, make it easy to capture reviews, and make it easy to capture UGC. So when we look at Yotpo, like they have a kind of multi-channel like SMS and email, a bit like how Klaviyo will do, but it looks nice. Yeah, like here's the image. We want to hear your feedback. People can click 5 stars, but things submit, boom, done. Or in the text, they can click it and they can go across to this website for a review or take them to where they want to go. Make it really easy for people to do that within the email where possible, or make it at least appear like it's going to be done within the email so people do it and then they come through to the end. For UGC submission, like incentivize it where possible. Like I would love to see your bag in use. Leave a review for 10% off your next purchase. Like people are gonna, like they've done it, leave a review for this product and earn a 10% discount. So you could do this for UGC where it's like leave a video, for the chance for a full refund if we post it on our socials, for the chance to get featured, or leave an image so we can share on our socials and get a percentage off your next order from there. You're incentivizing that from there because like people don't like to get somebody to take a picture of an item in use, like it takes energy, and to get them to do a video, like that takes time as well. So like not many people are going to do that just because you ask them. So like give them the opportunity by saying, hey, if you leave this video and we post it, one, you'll get featured on our site, which is awesome. So Built for Athletes could do that and get athletes on there, which is a big win. And then secondly, like it just makes sense to just do it. And then last one, display reviews and UGC the smart way. So what I really like about what Yotpo are doing, they have AI review summaries now. So when you're looking at a product, is it like when you go onto Amazon and you look at a product and it's like people tend to say this about this product? That's what's really cool about this. So for this skincare brand here, it's like customers with sensitive skin mentioned that the serum worked well for them. Texture, blah, 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 looks, not as good. And people can see and they're like, okay, sweet. Like they get an easier look at the important reviews rather than the old way is like you have to click on reviews and you have to scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll and keep going until you find like 15 reviews, and then you get to like guess whether you think it's going to be a good purchase, and then you decide to purchase, and then you're like, okay, it was okay. Whereas here, it just makes it easy. It's like, well, customers just like you said this. Awesome. Makes it really easy. So that's it. And this is an important part of the process when you're doing your post-purchasing, because like you're capturing somebody at the point where they've just spent money on your brand, maybe for the first, second, third, fourth, fifth time. They're trusting in you to deliver a product that solves a problem. Their allegiance to you is growing. So like capture them at this opportunity to share their journey, because it's good for acquisition, right? And that's where it's like, it's good for the acquisition side of things, because it gets people, like, you can turn these into ads. You get the idea. You can turn them into ads. You can acquire new customers that look just like the person who has bought your product. Like, this is an opportunity to really drive this. So don't sleep on this one, is my point. And some final thoughts, just so we kind of clarify a few bits. Yeah. Don't just rely on Klaviyo for, arguably one of the most important flows. Yeah, look towards softwares like Yotpo. Yotpo is really cool. They're doing some great work. I've been talking to one of their partner managers recently, and just kind of really digging into some of the stuff they do. And honestly, Klaviyo are asleep on this kind of stuff. So I would want to be moving all of our partners across to use this as soon as practical. And then make sure not to overwhelm buyers with too many emails. So you kind of need to carry out some test purchases on your site and just kind of see like how many emails you're getting, because Shopify will send the typical sort of we've received your order, and then depending on your carrier, you might get we received your product. Your product is in our warehouse. Your product is in our van. Your product is on the way out. Your product got lost. So when you're sending all these emails and all these other ones, like, it needs to be timed right. So this is a little bit of an art where you kind of need to just play around with it to make sure you do it right, because you can't, unfortunately, integrate everything into one, like the transactionals and the marketing. You kind of can't integrate them. Well, it's not you can't integrate them at this point in an effective manner. And then just because a customer has paid doesn't mean that your job is done. That's a really important one, right? Like, it's time to nurture them and push them towards buying again and to telling people about your product. It's time to turn them from, like, you've gone from stranger to customer, getting them from customer to raving fan. Like, this is the start of that process. Yeah, and it's the perfect time to make more sales, gather reviews, UGC, and create more customers. So use it as that opportunity to do that. Really, really straightforward. I wanted to keep this video as short as possible and as kind of open-ended as possible, because there is a lot of considerations to have. Like, you need to be a bit intuitive about how you're going to handle things as a brand. But this framework hopefully will give you a little bit of an idea around how to approach this. All right, so in this video, we're going to talk about how you as a brand owner can stop doing segmentation all wrong, because 9 times out of 10, you are. And I say this from experience. You either overcomplicate it and segment everything and create pointless segments that don't do any money, or you don't do any segmentation at all and you just send an entire list and then you wonder why emails are in spam. So I'm going to get straight into this one. This is something I feel quite passionate about. I think it's one of the big blockers for many brands and marketing agencies as well. So segmentation is a process of dividing your email list into groups based on shared characteristics. So instead of sending the same email to everybody, you can tailor your messaging to the different customer types, based on engagement, based on buyer behavior, interest, etc., etc. So dynamic segmentation versus static lists. A dynamic segment is something that updates automatically based on real-time behavior. So if somebody places an order for the first time, they become a one-time buyer. A static list, is a one-time list that, doesn't change unless you update it. So a dynamic segment could be people who've clicked on a product email in the last 30 days, for example. A static list would be Black Friday buyers from last year. You get the idea. So that's something that's fixed that, won't change unless you update it. And a segment will just change if somebody does something different. And if you're not aware, we're talking about segments today, not lists. So you can go from really, really simple basic segmentation right through to super advanced segmentation. Now, going advanced isn't always the best option. A lot of email marketing gurus will tell you that you need to go advanced, and a lot of brand owners think they need to go advanced because it seems to be the best option. Simple scales in this instance, and I'm going to share, kind of the range you can go up and down on them. So basic segmentation, engaged versus unengaged. So, who's actually opening and clicking on your emails, straightforward. Recent buyers versus non-buyers. Okay, you want to exclude recent buyers from specific emails. You want to send different emails to non-buyers, with more sales, more education, more, more persuasion, for example. And then high spenders versus one-time customers, for example, two completely different branches of people. Yeah, and you want to send completely different messaging to those. So there's some examples of basic segmentation. Getting a little bit more intermediate here, you can start looking at purchase behavior. So can we, segment people that are active subscribers for our monthly subscription? against, one-off purchases, for example, repeat purchases, VIP purchases, get the idea from there. Then you start looking at browsing behavior. So, people that have visited a product page but haven't bought. So one I like is somebody who might have visited products within a certain collection more than 3 times but haven't placed an order. They have an interest in that collection or that category. So let's put some content, that's relevant to them. Now, caveat, and we'll go a little bit more into this as we develop. We don't want to create really small segments. So if you have like a list of 10,000 people and you create like a browsing behavior segment and there's like 50 people, don't waste your time. Make sure it has like a good number that makes sense to you. And then the final one, location-based targeting. So if you have, physical stores or you have events, maybe going to High Rocks, for example, and you want to target people that are based in Manchester, like Built for Athletes do, for example, then, these kind of things make sense. And if you're an international store, you have, US distribution, UK distribution, European, then again, you can location segment that as well, which is super important. Then, okay, so why you shouldn't go too advanced? Okay, quite simply, it's over segmentation. So smaller segments equals fewer sends, which equals less revenue overall or per email, depending on how you kind of want to measure that. More complex, so the harder to manage and optimize. You end up putting a lot of time and energy into creating these really complex segments to try and over personalize. It doesn't really achieve anything. And like I said, you think you're personalizing, but your list is too small to make an impact. So I should say segment. So instead of building 50 tiny segments, let's focus on the ones that matter: engagement, purchase behavior, and intent. If you're only going to take anything away, take that part away from here. Now, important one, why bother to segment anyway? Well, it can get too complex, so why should we bother at all? Reality is, when you do it right, it's going to drive more sales, it's going to give you better deliverability, and it's going to give you a stronger customer experience, which is probably the most important one, okay? You'll have known when you open an email from a brand and you're like, I just bought from you 2 days ago, why are you sending me this? I don't care, or I haven't been, opening your emails because they're boring. Stop sending me the same generic boring emails, yeah? So, segmentation allows for higher sales. So target emails will always convert better than generic ones. It's going to give you better deliverability. So your ISPs will reward high engagement. Spam filters will punish low opens. So if you send emails to your entire audience and your open rates are like 20%, Google are going to be like, who is this clown? Why is he blasting 1,000 emails to these people who don't care? And then stronger automations. So segments can help trigger more relevant flows. So you could have a VIP flow or a new lead, a new customer, a second-time customer. You can segment your abandoned checkout based on how many orders they made. You might want to give them more discounts later down their journey because you've paid for to acquire them and you've made profit from them, so you don't mind dipping into a little bit of margin to get them to buy again, for example. So a customer who's just bought shouldn't get a generic promo email the next day. This happens a lot. So instead, they should just get a post-purchase guide or an upsell offer, depending on what you're trying to achieve, how many products you have, and what your overall marketing strategy is. But this is a big one. So we want to make sure we segment properly and we can exclude people. So basic segments every brand should use. We're going to jump into showing you a few examples on how to build them in Klaviyo, just in case you've never done that. But let's kind of break it down a little bit. Engagement-based segmentation up here. So we're looking at people who are active, opened or clicked an email in the last sort of 30 to 90 days versus inactive. So if they're not engaged in the last 90 days, they need some kind of re-engagement or suppression. Now, there's a lot of, I don't mean to throw shade on the gurus out there, but there's a lot of gurus out there that will tell you that you need to go to like 150 days engaged. It's like, well, okay, here's an argument for that. If somebody hasn't opened your email for the last 3 months, what's your chances of bringing them back? Quite low. So would you not rather spend your time and energy on those who are hyper engaged, that are loving your emails, that are visiting your store, that are buying products? There's got to be a realism here, and we used to do this at Flowly. We used to go 120, 150, 180, and you might make a few extra $1,000 here or there, but like, is it really worth it for the amount of people that unsubscribe and damage your deliverability, for example? So this is a tough one, but like, 90 days for me is kind of as far as I'd want to go. Unless, you sell really expensive products and you don't email often because that's the nature of the business, then of course you want to go a bit further. Right, so send more frequently to engaged, less frequently to inactive. That should be straightforward, but doesn't tend to be. And then intent-based segmentation. So we're looking at people who have browsed but didn't buy. They viewed a product and they didn't go as far as adding to cart. Now this kind of behavior triggers a flow normally, but it's good to have a segment as well. It's good to have a segment as well because you can target these people later on. If you have a special offer coming out, or you want to get more information around why they didn't go as far as from browsing onwards. Yeah, now automate as much as possible, but definitely these fit nicely for specific campaigns when you're trying to get a specific outcome. Then similar one, added to cart but didn't go to checkout. So there's high intent, but there was some hesitation there. Why didn't they get as far as checkout? What were they happy with? Were the reviews not good enough? Were you not using smart review, display to make it easier for people to buy? Why didn't they got so far, but they didn't take that last step? And then repeat buyers, for example, loyal customers with high purchase frequency. That person there has a much bigger intent to buy again than somebody who has been on your list for 2 months and not bought. And they need completely different messaging. So we need to message them based on their intent. This is more friendly. Like, we don't need to keep trying to, convince them to buy. They've already bought twice, 3 times, 4 times. It's all about building loyalty at this point, sending emails to let them know that you see them. Like, hey, we know you've spent, you've made 4 orders in 5 months with us, for example. So send reminders to cart abandoners, special offers to repeat buyers. Really, really straightforward. And then I think I've done the same page. There we are. So interest-based segmentation. This can be based on product categories that they've engaged with. So it could be if you're selling like watch bands, for example, for like Apple Watches, it could be specific categories. Are people looking more at like the flashy metal bands, or are they looking more at the flexible nylon bands, for example? Are they looking at a specific sizing? Can we make suggestions to these people in campaigns, for example? So definitely worth doing. And then content-based preferences. So, well, it kind of plays into the first thing I said, really. Are they looking at skincare? Are they looking at makeup? What can we learn about the browsing behavior on site? Can we see from the kind of things they're looking at that maybe they're more interested in a vegan skincare range? That's worth looking at. That's, with honesty, that's kind of like could be getting into a little bit more advanced. But if you have a big list, definitely worth doing. And then send personalized product recommendations based on past interactions. And then the last one, list cleaning and deliverability segments. I put a couple in here, but in reality, there's loads. Now, engagement decay tracking. So monitor users who gradually disengage. Now, those that are looking to churn. Now, I would treat this differently based on buyers and non-buyers again. So people who have bought and then they start to churn, they're more valuable to me than somebody who's been on the list and done nothing for 3 months. I would rather put that time into them, because getting them to purchase again is going to be easier than getting somebody who's never bought to purchase the first time. So you've got to weigh that up based on your own sort of, ambitions as a brand. And then hard bounces, soft bounces, any spam complaints. Most of these kind of get removed, especially if you're using Klaviyo. But, make sure to keep an eye on those and make sure that they are... that they're getting removed automatically, yeah. Soft bounces, I'm going to show you a quick segment on that shortly. Then make sure to suppress non-engagers to keep your list healthy. I'll do a video on sunset flows and win-back flows, but ultimately we want to be suppressing non-engagers like every month. There is automations you can put in with webhooks on Klaviyo, but I'm not going to jump into that video because it's a little bit more advanced. But the reality being, like, you can make sure you suppress people that are not engaged. The reality here as well is you can always bring them back out for Black Friday and, really get your list health up to like peak. And then when Black Friday comes, just blast out your entire list and try and re-engage some people. This works for some brands and doesn't for others. But like, just because you suppress them doesn't mean you can't bring them back out to play later. So just going to pause the video real quick, jump into Klaviyo, and then we're going to have a look at some segments. Right, back in. So I'm just going to show you a number of different segments here that we can play around with. it's very specific to every brand. So I could sit here and do like a full, you must have absolutely these segments. It takes a little bit of thought around specific brands that we want to do. But let's look at Engage. So this one, like anyone who's done, a Chase Diamond email marketing course will know to do these, 30-day engaged segments, and they're important. So first one, somebody who can receive marketing because they subscribed, tick. And then, and have they opened or clicked an email in the last 30 days? Done. Straightforward. You can make this a little bit more complex if you want and target people if they've potentially been on site. I don't advise it purely because we're dealing specifically with email here. Just because they've been on site like every day for the last 2 months, if they haven't opened an email in 90 days, I don't want to keep sending them emails. It might be that there's a problem with their email address. It might be that they just don't need open emails. Why do we want to keep sending emails? So if they haven't opened or clicked an email in the last 30 days, then this is a really basic one. That's 30-day engaged. Really, really straightforward. Make sure you've got these. And then you can just clone these, put it as 90 day, 90 there, 90 there, 60, 15 day, 45, 75, whatever you want to play around with, 120, 365. It really doesn't matter. Do a 30, 60, and a 90-day engaged segment each, just based off of this. So screen grab this if you want, or jump into Klaviyo and quickly copy this. You can remove the subscribe bit here, but I don't really advise it, to be honest. We want to just make sure we're targeting people that have subscribed. Because otherwise, if you're using like retention.com or Black Crow or something like that, you might start sending campaigns to people that you've kind of got on your email list, in ways that are a little bit shaky. So that's engagement. And then one-time buyers. So by the way, it doesn't matter if you have this at the bottom, top, or wherever. Sometimes I put the top at the bottom. I'm a little bit chaotic, so it doesn't really matter to me. But somebody who's placed an order, is one overall time. They've placed an order once, and they can receive email marketing. I always put this on because I don't want to see a segment of 20,000 people on here, and then there's 20,000 people on there, but only 10,500 are still subscribed, for example. Like I just want to see the accurate numbers of people on my list that are one-time buyers, not across the Shopify store. So there's that one. You can put 2-time buyers and equals 2. You can put is greater than 1, and then that's repeat buyers. So there's that one. And then VIP. So VIP is an interesting one. You can do this based on order value or number of orders. For this brand that we're working with here, it's placed orders greater than 3 overall time, and this is VIP customers, and then they're on the list. Really, really straightforward. Then here's one that gets a little bit more intermediate. So this is buyers who have not bought in 90 days. So they placed an order at least once overall time, and they've placed an order 0 times in the last 90 days. And they're obviously on the list. So this is a good one because this shows that there's a lot of people that have placed an order at least once, but over the last 90 days, they haven't. So for us, this is like an active churn that we want to be paying attention to. Now these guys have a really big list, so that looks like a lot. But you get the idea. So this is a big list to go at and be like, let's get them in again to buy again, because we want to reduce this list size ultimately. Then a couple of other ones, soft bounces. So somebody who has bounced an email is at least 3 in the last 30 days. And then add on here where bounce type. I was just building this out for you on the video and haven't done it. Bounce type equals soft. Update that segment there. So that's them. These are people you can exclude from emails if they've stopped bouncing, a few times for whatever reason. Hard bounces will get removed by Klaviyo. And then here's an interesting one. So this is like lapsed subscribers that are dead weight. So created at least 150 days ago, received at least 16 emails in the last 150 days, opened an email 0 times in the last 150 days, clicked an email 0 times in the last 150 days, viewed a product 0 times in the last 150 days, checkout started 0 times in the last 150 days, place an order 0 time over all time, and they can receive your marketing. And then you can add on here as well if you want, because it's subscribed. Now that's a lot of people on the list. They've created a profile in Klaviyo. They're on the list. I mean, there's not a lot of people here, but this is just dead weight. These are people who why are we sending them emails at this point? You can just subscribe them, unsubscribe them. Sorry, you can just suppress them at this point and get rid of them. So just wanted to whistle through a number of different segments because I don't want to just do some boring like, hey, here's a step-by-step. There's loads of videos out there that show you how to do step-by-step segmentation. If you want to do it the kind of same old way that everyone else does it. I want this video to be an opportunity for you to think about different ways that you can segment your audience. Pull back in. Right, so that's segments. Probably one of the topics that you need to think about a little bit more. I have to really get my words out then. But one of the topics you have to think about a little bit more and takes a little bit of science and a little bit of art as well, and a lot of data. Okay, you've got to really think about your email strategy and what you're trying to achieve and your overall strategy, who you're trying to target, thinking about, intent, interests, and engagement, at the core of those things, and just creating segments that you can actually turn into sales, or you can turn into an action that you want to get, rather than just going through the motions and sending to 90-day engage all the time and being like, okay, cool, I'm just going to blast all these people, because there are loads of people that slip through the cracks and then they become unengaged, and then you just have a massive bloated list, and Klaviyo charge you a fortune for all these profiles. Okay, so video, how to send campaigns that convert into repeat sales. That's the idea behind this. Maybe short video, maybe long video. We'll see how we go on. We're going to talk about campaigns, email campaigns, how to send them, how to get more sales, how to turn one-time buyers into repeat buyers, how to think about campaigns. So without me waffling, let's go. Let's jump in. So what is an email campaign? It's an email or series of emails that we send to our audience that is not triggered by a specific behavior, such as abandoning a checkout or a welcome email when somebody signs up. It's an email that we decide to send. So it's a way to communicate with our own audience at scale to entice a specific action, usually some form of sale. Simple. And then why do we bother sending campaigns? Well, we want to send campaigns to segments of our email list to get subscribers to do something, usually buy something, usually attend an event, go onto our social media and follow us on Instagram, review a product, purchase, refer us to a friend, etc., etc. We also want to stay top of mind as a solution to their pains and be there when they're ready to buy. So campaigns is a really good opportunity to remain there top of mind for when somebody is ready to buy again. Okay, so we can't just rely on automations and hope that somebody will appear on our site and start looking at products and abandon a checkout, and then we'll manage to save every single one of them and they'll come back again. Okay, the idea of campaigns is to leverage that intent, leverage that interest, build on that relationship that your ads team has already managed to establish from the very beginning, and stay top of mind. And then also we want to make more money so we can sleep better at night. That's why we have an e-commerce brand, apart from the big mission on wanting to change the world and create a product that, saves the world from despair. We want to make more money so we can sleep better at night. So that's why we send campaigns as well. And then what happens when you don't send campaigns? Well, your audience forget about you, and they do. You will remember Black Friday. If you ever pay attention to emails, you'll start to get emails from brands that you think, oh, I forgot about these guys. They've not emailed me in 7 months. Because what have they done? They're using Black Friday as an opportunity to try and sell something at a discount to you. So what happens? You unsubscribe because you're like, I don't even care about you anymore. Your email domain gets cold, so you increase the risk of landing in spam. So if you don't send emails for like 7-8 months, and then you try and send emails to a 10,000 list, the likes of Google and Apple are going to go, who on earth is this guy? And they're going to put you straight in the spam. So you need to be warming it up. You need to be keeping your domain warm. You need to be sending consistent emails to your audience that are relevant so that they open and they click and people take action. So that's what happens when you don't send. You also make less sales and you end up stressing about spending more on ads. So this is where email campaigns becomes super important. Because if you don't do that, you'll spend more on ads, and then you'll get annoyed that you are spending thousands on ads and having to just find new customers all the time. And you also miss the opportunity to drive repeat sales without spending more on ads. Okay, so what we want to do with campaigns is we want to target people that have bought once, and we want to put the solutions to their pains in front of them enough times at the right time so they go, oh, I want to go and buy from Gymshark, for example. Okay, that's why we do it. So increasing customer lifetime value with campaigns, right? So let me get rid of this if we can. No, too big, sorry. So picture this, you've got 10% of your site visitors onto your email list. Great job, well done. And then you send a welcome flow to them, highlighting just why you're the best thing since the invention of sliced bread. Okay. And then you manage to get them to buy from you sometimes, or your ads team have ultimately, because they have driven them to the site. They were potentially going to buy it anyway, but then we've tried to claw some of them people onto the email list so we can sell to them again. Okay, so either you have as an email marketer, or more realistically, your ads team has done that for you. But that's not where the journey stops. Your job is to get more sales, and that's where campaigns come in. But only when you do them right. Only when you're targeting the right people with the right kind of messaging, and that takes testing. Core theme of this is testing, and I'm going to go through some of that for you in this video. So let's go the right way. So how to know what to send and when? Well, the only way to discover this is by testing for 3 to maybe 6 months, different content types, different segmentation, taking a look at the data and seeing from there. So as an example, you may have a one-time buyers segment. You want to be trying different messaging to those people to see what do they normally respond to. When do they come back and buy a second time? Is it 30 days? Is it 45 days? What kind of emails get them back on site? And I'll give an example. For a supplement and vitamins brand, we tested a really simple plain text email from the founder that acknowledged that they bought once, and then highlighted a special offer for them to come back again. Now, because we've already paid for that customer through the ads or organic or for wherever they've come, offering that 15% discount, for example, doesn't really affect the margins in the way that it does for that first sale. So you're able to give more of an offer from there. So what we did there is we sent that plain text email, had a 15% discount, made it very personal from the founder. It looked like the founder had emailed them and was like, "Hi Dave, I see that you ordered, at least once, and we'd love to share more of our products with you. Had over 1,000 products on our website. Here's a couple of ideas, some from our bestsellers, a couple of links, discount, link to the page, boom." That was like a 4 times open rate, click rate, and revenue rate across the board from just trying and testing that different thing. So what did we do with that? Every month we sent at least one of those kinds of emails out and made a lot more revenue for that brand continually. So testing. Ultimately, the market, i.e. your list, will decide what they like, what they want to see, and what will push them to buy, not you. So if you're an e-commerce owner, don't be too offended when I say this, but you waking up at 6 o'clock in the morning and thinking, "Oh, I really want to send this email idea because I think it'd be really cool," isn't going to work. You're going to stress out your email marketing team or your single person email marketing team, and you're going to completely mess up the entire strategy that's put together and the sending cadence is put together, by trying to send some amazing idea in your head that you've had while you're having a shower or maybe while cold plunging at 4 a.m. Yeah. So the market decides. You have to test and theorize and put things together, not just throwing random things in like this will definitely work. Like test them, but test them at the right time. So you can test things like product drops, value emails, sales heavy emails. I'd go very light on the sales heavy. Any brand we've worked with that relies on sales for everything is just a race to the bottom and destroys margin. So it's not something, apart from maybe in the supplement industry where it's just known. But ultimately, a lot of the time is because the supplements aren't very good. Like a strong supplement brand won't rely on sales. So My Protein, love to send you sales every single day because their supplements are shit. So, and try some plain text and then everything else in between. Quizzes, sizing quizzes, guides, refund campaigns. So you could be like, "Hey, you buy today and we're going to refund 5 people's orders," something like that. Something really cool. So you get to test all these different ideas, yeah? So who do I send to? I have done an entire video on segmentation, and I'll probably do more as things develop because ultimately as marketers we develop and get new ideas. But so you can watch my other video on segmentation by just searching Mac Mails and segmentation. Or you go back to my account and search segmentation and you find it. But ultimately, segment your audience based on buying behavior and their interests. So when I say interest, look at pain points. If you are, we'll say, a supplement brand, what are you trying to achieve? Is it weight loss, muscle gain, better sleep, more peace? What are the pain points in there? Segment people that way. You're able to understand what they're looking at. So you can send relevant messaging within the flows, but also within the campaigns as well. And then also segment based on buying behavior. Like some of the easiest ways to do is non-buyers, one-time buyers, repeat buyers, and VIPs who have either spent a certain amount or made at least 4 orders. And then you can segment that way, but then you can also add like has engaged within 90 days. So you know that they're like your most active people of them buying behaviors. And then if you really want to go granular, you can do like buying behavior and interest, but probably more often than not, you're going to end up with a really small pool to email. So I wouldn't bother. And then plan and send a variety of email types to each segment and gauge their response. Do they unsubscribe at scale when you send, 3 emails a week to your non-buyers? They're probably going to. Or do they buy more? When I send 3 emails to our one-time buyers, do we get more repeat sales or do we get more unsubscribes? Where's the balance? And balance that out yourself. Like if you get 10 unsubscribes, but you make 20 grand, let's send some more emails and go from there. Makes perfect sense, right? And then inspire me. So I'm going to show you a couple of ways to think about and get ideas for different kind of campaigns, because one of the questions I get all the time is, what do I send? I don't know what to send. I don't have any ideas. There's honestly a bazillion ideas out there, but I'm going to share some on here in a second. So milled.com is a great site to look at. I think I'm following Perfect White Tees. So I think I am, because they all keep showing up. You can I move this? Yes. No. You can go on to all lists, brands. Here we go. There we go. We would have to do this on this one, wouldn't it? Right, there we go. So you can look on, I wonder if it takes me to this. I wasn't prepared for this today. I'm just looking at all the follows and I don't want to see that at all. You're going to have to bear with me. You look at different brands. So you can look at Gap. They do share emails. Peloton. Peloton are cool. Let's click on Peloton. And they will show you some of their emails that they send out. So 3 ways to stay entertained while you work out. Yeah, I thought Peloton would entertain you enough. How our members got stronger. Big, 0% APR and $0 down. I might go and buy one. Get that idea. This guy looks super skinny. More motivation for up to $500 less. You get some ideas from there. Like Peloton, they have some okay emails, I guess. Not the best. Come back and you can look at who we got. Anchor, they're quite cool. I like Anchor. Not many emails on here. That was a terrible idea. Apologies. Dollar Shave Club, these guys are cool. They do some okay emails. Butt wipes are on sale. Awesome. There you go. Maybe you do butt wipes and you want to put them on sale. Maybe you want an over 60% offer on. But what's really good with mill.com is you can click on the email. You can have a look at the way they do the header. They've got the really controversial header image, tiny logo, really good. Telling you exactly what it is. Buy 2, get 1 free. Awesome. There's the image. Sounds great. Wipe now. Good call to action. And not a lot of text, which I think is great. A lot of brands think you have to absolute boatloads of text, but you don't. New blue and discounted just for you. Pretty cool. I like the use of language. Get started. Nice. Come back for only $8. So that looks like it's getting sent to people who... that should probably say get restarted or something, but it looks like it's targeted at people who have been subscribed at one point and then left, which is smooth. And then what I like here, $8 starter set, yeah, it tells you exactly what you get. Buy now, sound it's great. So Milled is really cool, and you can obviously follow your brands, which is what I've done. That's why I got Perfect White Tea everywhere. Their emails are okay. I think I was looking at their emails in general to see how I can make them better. Fashion brand, they love to have a huge image and then some text. I'm not a big fan of this one, to be honest, so I'm not going to share that with you. Really good emails is another one as well. So I probably would prefer to use this than Milled, but this just gives you a whole host of different emails right from the get go, and then you can choose behavioral, enhancement. Oh, okay, behavioral, and then engagement. You can look at different types of engagement emails from here, jump into this one, and then you can literally scroll across. This is what I like. So let's look at Starbucks, because I love Starbucks, but their emails are shit. So, hello again, our green aprons are on. Oh, yeah, blah, blah, blah. It's boring. You get the idea. You can kind of go through. God, that's horrible. Yeah, it's New York Magazine. Terrible idea. Remarkable. Good product. Start the year strong. Like that. Good bit of image. Putting you straight in there. Hey, this is what you're trying to do. Sort your life out. Become more productive. Nice bit of text. Really cool, image there. Don't know if that's dust or something. That's sick. Yeah, see, I like this. You could make emails like this. A lot more text than I would like, but you get the idea. So this is what I like about it. Cool image. You can, let's go back to home. And then you can do promotional emails. and you can do like, boom, let's have a look at all these discounts. So if you're on a discount and you're like, hey, let's have a browse. Boom, let's have a look here. So woofs, I think that's how you say it. Horrible text. Yeah, take $5 off your first order today. It's still not too late, yeah. And then I hate that, but you get the idea. So you can look and get some ideas and get some inspiration. Sneakers, $89.99. Looks like some flat foot shoes, pretty cool. And then 25% off your first subscription. Great. Not even sure what they sell. Do they sell gummies? Yeah, not sure why. It looks like a Coke to me. But you get the idea. So sleep gummies, productivity gummies. That looks fun. De-stress gummies, complete optimization for men. Sweet. Might buy some. So you can go and like create one of these like Battenberg type designs. You get the idea. We look at these quite a lot and see what's kind of what just feels good. And ultimately, like I've said, a lot test. Just see what happens. And then you can even look at ad libraries. So look at Gymshark and look at the kind of ads that they're running, at the time. Don't want to do that. See summary details, is it? You can start to look at the kind of ads that they're running here. The text, restock, you've been asking, shouting, screaming for it so loud we had to listen. Love that. Really cool. Gymshark's copyrights are sick. And then the Whitney adapted back. And then obviously, I'm going to say bum scrunching. Yeah, bum scrunch, something like that, which is cool. Let me get back out of here. Let's look at one for the boys. The Power Collection. Everyone loves a good Power Collection. If you don't have a Power Collection t-shirt, then something wrong with you. Not sure who that guy is or him. Don't even know who that is. No jokes. So you get the idea. The Power Collection is made to fail with you. Nice. Time and time again until one day you don't. See, their copyright is sick. Their emails are terrible. Sorry, guys. Just let me click on it. No. Can we see? No. Let me copy that link if you want. What's this here? Yeah, we don't need that. But you get the idea. You can start to look like really cool ideas. Like this is the stuff that are driving people to sites. I don't know who these are. Let's have a look. Oh, different language. Cool. Not going to play around with that today. That's obviously a different country. Is it Holland? Yeah, probably. Okay, here we go. See our details. Oh no, that's sorry, French. I'm just picking all the wrong language here, guys. Sorry. You get the idea anyway. So you can go look at your ad library. Choose all, and then I just use all ads, and then just put like whoever you want to put in. Like I don't know, Lululemon, is that one? They'll probably not come up now. Boom, there we are. So we can do Lululemon. Have a look at I hate their products, by the way. Definitely a Gymshark fan. But like, you can have a look here what they're doing. Collared up, cool down. This bra's always in play. Yeah, sound. Is that like a tennis thing? I think so. And then more images. These tights fit just right. Sweet. But yeah, look, milled. Really good emails, and then ad library give you some really, really cool bits of inspiration on how to create ideas. You can use ChatGPT. I was going to share some prompts that we use, but do you know what? It's not quite there to really give you the taste that you want to do just yet. So I'm not going to share that with you today. Maybe later. And then let's go back. Boom. So here we are. Inspired. Hope that's inspired you. And then scheduling campaigns. I thought about doing really long sort of scheduling campaigns thing here, but I think ultimately I'm going to give you a quick overview on like how you could do it. Now the red ones here are like specific days, and then the black ones are like kind of events you do from here. So like, don't just take this and like I just threw this together to give you a bit of context. Don't just throw this together and be like, oh my god, I need to do this. But like, you could pick some core days throughout the month. So Easter deals, Earth Day, World Health Day, and April Fools. April Fools is a really cool one. See some amazing and some also really shocking emails that people send. But then you can send other campaigns. We just call them like who they are, like big spenders. So people that spend like a lot of money for their orders. Like send them an email. Saturdays tends to work for a brand that we're using for. Here's where we're going to send an email to our non-buyers. Then we're going to send an average order value offer. And then we're going to send a churn offer for those people that are churning out. Then we're going to send a VIP offer for here. Then we're going to send a win back. So like these are two kind of things here. And then Weekend Warrior. You could ultimately send like an email a day if you segmented your audience properly. I'm not suggesting you do that. But like if you really wanted to be really like rigid with this, you could send one-time buyer emails on a Monday, repeat buyers on a Tuesday, VIP on a Wednesday, super customers on a Thursday, specific interests on a Wednesday, on a Thursday, missed the days there, on a Thursday, if you wanted. But like, I don't want to just do a full video on this. Like, this takes a little bit of common sense. Like, be smart with it and just when you segment your audience and you know who you're targeting, so if you are going to target non-buyers, one-time buyers, repeat buyers, and VIPs, you've got like 4 different segments that you could target there, and you could split that out across the week, and it literally could be like Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and you could do like, and you can mix and match. Like, really doesn't matter. Again, I didn't want to dive too deep into this and confuse things. This really is going to take a little bit of common sense. If you don't have that, then you should be in this game. And then campaign ideas, I'm going to show you days of the year, which is really cool. But here's, kind of campaign ideas, which I like a lot of. Events-based or holidays, these are always really, really cool. They can be funny, they can be respectful, they can be warming, it depends what it is. On Veterans Day, I wouldn't turn that into like a big, like, celebrate Veterans Day. I don't know why anybody uses it as a celebration. It's more of a being respectful and being warming. Any brand that I see do that, I recognize that they really don't know what they're talking about when it comes to Veterans Day. So I'm going to show you a couple of, let's go back. I'm going to show you days of the year, which is awesome. I love this site. So you can go to daysoftheyear.com. I don't think that's relevant. There you go. National Pet Day. National Poutine? Cheese Fondue. So if you're selling into cheese fondue is awesome. Record Store Day. Licorice Day. Love a bit of licorice. But what you can do here is go to see all events in April 2025. And it will literally rattle off all these really cool... Ferry Day, Children's Book Day, Burrito Day, we all love a burrito, Chocolate Mousse Day, some of these days are just wild, Walk to Work Day, Librarian Day, Caramel Day, so if you sell caramel, you could do like caramel protein, boom, this is a great, like, it's just fun and different. New Beer's Eve, awesome, No Housework Day, it's every day, National Beer Day, so if you sell beer, or even alcohol-free beer, you can do it, International Romany Day, Zula's, like, a lot of these are not relevant, but if you just have a quick browse, you can write, hey, National Pet Day, we sell like pet products. This is like, turn it into a whole week. It's National Pet Day on Friday, so for the next 7 days, we're gonna do a really cool offer, or celebrate our brand owners' pets or something like that, or our team members' pets or something like that. Gardening Day, you get the idea. World Art Day, like, so you can get some ideas from here, but you can also go to like just Google like public holidays in the USA, public holidays in the UK, and it'll give you a list of things to do from there. And like, so it's quite straightforward. There is that, and then boom, let's go back in real quick to see these emails. Okay, I ripped these off of the internet. Happy St. Patrick's Day, perfect. Luck is on your side, pretty cool. Take your Murph out for a cruise. Yeah, I mean, I want this bike now because it looks awesome. And then Fashion Week, I'm not saying make this email, it's ugly and I don't like it, but like Fashion Week is a great one to kind of put out. So definitely worth doing. And then just some ideas from here. Product focus, always a really cool one. Focus on the product drop. If you're dropping something, let people know. People want to buy new stuff. So tell them when it's dropping, and tell them you only got 100 in stock if you only have 100 in stock. Gift guides, always really cool. Give the perfect gifts this season. So it doesn't have to just be Christmas. This can just be anything, like Father's Day. If you collect wedding anniversary data, I don't think you really would for most campaigns, depending on, for most brands, depending on what you sell. If you sell jewelry, it might be worth doing. Bundles are great. One thing about bundles, try and put bundles in like your first welcome email. This is like a little bit of a hack. And then your second one as well, like, don't just do like the 10% offer, but like, hey, if you want to get an even better offer, shop our bundles and get like buy two, get one free or something like that. We work with a really cool watch band company that do buy two, one, get free, and it kills it every time. So it's a really good opportunity to like drive the average order value up straight away. So like your ads team have driven people to the site, or your organic content has driven people to the site, your SEO, whatever's driven people to the site. We've converted them to the email list. Their buying intent is extremely high, so let's try and get their average order value what we can. Anyway, bundles as campaigns, definitely a good idea. What are these? All Trails gear, never heard of them. Cool email, but like it talks about how you can bundle it up, which I think is great. And then benefit focus. So more than a timepiece is a statement. The men's classic at Montclair, Bucktown. The clock is ticking. Embody understated elegance with your Elton Pepple pick. That's a mouthful, isn't it? Before it's gone. So it's benefit focus. Like this is a statement. This is a status piece. Like the benefit of this is you're going to be a baller. Like, not with that watch, probably should have done Rolex, but you get the idea, yeah? Again, campaign ideas is millions. You can do like the refund one I talked about. You can do buy two and go free. You can do mix and match. Mix and match is a good campaign to do depending on what you sell, but just try a number of different campaigns. Okay. I didn't want to jump in too deep on this and like confuse people, but bundles, if you're only going to do any, like throw some bundles and product drops in there. Okay. So inclusion, really, really simple. Test. So I didn't want to make this video a really long, drawn out, boring video that's like, you must do this to do this, because every brand is different. Okay. Gymshark and I was going to say Lululemon, but they're kind of the same. Gymshark and the Dollar Shave Club are two completely different brands. Okay, two completely different audiences. Now, some might use both products, of course, but like there's different needs and there's different pain points for why they're subscribed to your email, why they look at your brand. Okay, so you need to test. You need to test your sending cadence. You need to test the kind of messaging you're sending, and you need to actually look at the data. And don't just like think, well, I like the look of this email, so everyone's going to like it, because it doesn't work. Some of the emails that my team have created and I hate have done really, really well. So like you need to do the data to do the talking. So where it says here, test, straightforward. So I hope that helps. Now, obviously, if you're a brand doing over 100K a month and you know your email can do more, which is often the case if we're honest, I'm offering you a free revenue gap audit where we will absolutely rip your email account to pieces, whether you've got an in-house team, an agency in place, or you're trying to make it work yourself, which happens. We will look at where the revenue gaps are and we will present a 90-day plan for you and what that would look like to get it fixed. So if you're missing 50 to 100K, which you probably are, then we will show you exactly how to unlock that, give you the full playbook on what to do with that, completely for free if you're doing that. And the reason we do that, full transparency, is most people do it, they see it's awesome, they can tell that we know what we're talking about, and then they hire us to do it. So it makes perfect sense. But if you want to be cheeky and you want to grab that for free, then there'll be a link below this video. Click it, book a call with myself, and then we'll help you out. That's it. Take it easy.